It's time I finally work on combat in my Minecraft clone. And I've got an interesting idea for it that I've never seen anywhere before for melee combat. And I also have to decide how the stats work for it, so let's go. I want to eventually release this game, and it will have nothing to do with Minecraft except for the 3D aspect of it. In fact, the gameplay will be way more similar to Terraria than any other game. So you can think of it as a 3D Terraria or a mix between Terraria and Minecraft. And the reason is that Terraria just has better game design. Let's take potions and golden apples for example. They are very hard to get, so you basically almost never use them, except maybe for bosses. Or take TNT. When was the last time you used it? But wouldn't it be cool to get items like this very often, but also have harder enemies, so you have to constantly use them? That would be way more fun. Some mobs will drop fruit, and you can eat them to get some special effects. So I just need to implement eating items to get buffs. Yo, hold up dummy, this is a multiplayer game. Yeah, it basically takes one day to do anything that normally takes 1 hour. So every time you eat something, its effect will be applied to you, and the timer will run locally. The server will also count down the effect timer and update you. We have to take into account that a packet takes time to travel. So we use the time it was sent and the time it was received to calculate the distance it took to arrive. And also, we use that when updating the timers. The healing will happen both on the server and the client, and if the server doesn't allow the healing, it will just update you with your correct life. And now I can eat apples to heal, and I have to wait for a cooldown, like in Terraria, and I can also hit other players and they take damage correctly. Now what about melee combat? I already mentioned that I want a cool crafting system, where each component will influence the weapon stats in various ways. These are the stats. First of all, notice that some of them can actually get negative. The critical damage is a multiplier, and it can be lower than 1. So, when you mix and match weapon parts, you need to consider how all parts interact. And it might be a good idea to get a negative stat in exchange for another very high one. The armor penetration just reduces the armor, and I want to have enemies that have a ton of armor and enemies that have a ton of health. But here is the thing, if the armor is just added to the life and the armor penetration just subtracts it, adding armor penetration to a weapon is no different from just adding more damage. In fact, it's better to just add damage, because an enemy without armor isn't hurt by armor penetration. So I want the armor to influence the damage in a way, so you want to have armor penetration. And this is the formula. The armor removes the damage as a subtraction, but then it also removes it by a percentage. So if you have 10 points of armor, you receive 90% of the remaining damage. And if you have 100 points of armor, you receive 50% damage. And that's why it's good to know math, because this function that I used approaches 0, but never touches it. So no matter what armor you have, it will just decrease the damage, but never by 100%. Accuracy will increase the hitbox of enemies, and also increase the minimum damage. But what about these two things? Dexterity and combo frequency. Well, remember this thing in Minecraft, where you have to hit correctly to get max damage? Well, I want to do something similar, but better. So each weapon will have some sort of minigame. And so this is the spear. I'm not convinced I want to keep this, but I'll try it and see. What I will keep for sure is having different attack ways for weapons. Like for the spear, you can attack one enemy or press the right mouse button to swipe and attack multiple enemies. But here come these two stats. So the dexterity will make the targets easy to hit, and if you hit correctly, you get a bonus crit chance. But if your weapon has a very small dexterity, you can't get that bonus crit chance. And the combo frequency will determine how often combos are launched. And those are just very fast hitting opportunities, that are also slightly easier to hit, like you can see here. So next time, I want to work on the server a little, by adding commands, some more stats, and also the opportunity to launch it in console mode. Until then, maybe check out how I made my own physics engine from scratch in C++. See you there!